They say when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way left to go, up. But they never mention the long silence that comes before the fall, the stillness that fools you into thinking you're flying. That's where I was, floating on lies and blissfully unaware. My name's Daniel Mercer. 42, steady job in logistics, mortgage halfway paid, married 12 years. No kids, her choice, not mine, but I didn't argue. I learned early that in marriage, some hills aren't worth dying on. Life with Elaine had become a comfortable routine. Morning coffee brewed at 6 o'clock sharp. Friday sushi nights. Her favorite reality shows I pretended to care about. Love had long since packed its bags, but I thought we still had loyalty, partnership, trust, until she forgot to log out of her laptop. It was a Thursday. I remember because the neighbor's kid always mowed their lawn on Thursdays, and that afternoon the buzz of the mower cut through the quiet like a warning. Elaine had left for a girls' weekend, upstate. I just wanted to print movie tickets. Instead, I found a folder on her desktop named, wait for it, taxes. Cute. I clicked, expecting W-2s and spreadsheets. What I got was a digital scrapbook of betrayal. Pictures, receipts, voice notes. One from a guy named, or the kind of voice that sounded like it wore cologne even through the speakers. The note ended with, tell Dan you're at yoga again. He's too dull to notice. I sat there for a while, staring at the screen, not moving. You ever been so angry you feel nothing at all? Like your soul just goes numb? That was me, right then. A ghost in my own house. I didn't confront her right away. That's not my style. I believe in strategic timing. And besides, I wanted to know everything before I made my move. So I waited, and watched, and took notes, and let her think I was still asleep. Elaine returned Sunday evening like nothing happened, kissing me on the cheek with the casual grace of a woman who thinks she's fooling a fool. How was the retreat? I asked, poker face flawless. She dropped her duffel near the coat rack, kicked off her boots, and launched into a monologue about group meditations, organic quinoa bowls, and how Karen finally stopped checking her work emails during chakra alignment. I nodded at all the right moments. Even asked follow-up questions. She rewarded my interest with a smile that would have gutted me a week ago. No? I cataloged it. Another entry in the Museum of Pretense. Monday, I did something I hadn't done in a while. I took a half day from work. Drove across town to a car wash I didn't need, then sat in the parking lot of a business complex watching a coffee shop entrance. That's where R worked. Ryan Weston. Corporate smile. Athletic build. The kind of guy whose handshake is just a little too firm. I recognized him from the photos on her laptop. She had one of them holding her hand at the beach, their shadows long in the sand. Romantic. Predictable. At 12:34 p.m., Ryan stepped out in a fitted blazer, laughing with some coworkers. I didn't follow him. Not yet. I just watched. Observed how he looked too pleased with himself for someone stealing another man's wife. That evening, Elaine suggested Thai food. You always order green curry and then complain it's too spicy, she teased, curling up next to me on the couch. I smiled. Maybe I'll try something new. She laughed, kissed my temple, and turned on that dating show she loved. I didn't say a word. I just watched her, wondering how many other men she smiled at with those same eyes. She didn't know it, but I had already made the reservation. Not for dinner. For the end. That week, I became a man with a mission. Not vengeance yet. Just clarity. Elaine had rewritten the story of our marriage behind my back, and I wanted to know every chapter. I started simple. Pulled phone records. Nothing suspicious. She was smart enough to use encrypted apps. But she slipped once. An Uber ride from our house at 2:17 a.m. 3 weeks ago. She said she had insomnia and was going for a walk. Apparently, the walk included an $18 fare to Ryan's apartment complex. I printed it out and slipped it into a manila folder. Titled the folder Yoga Expenses. Figured I'd keep with her theme. Next stop, the storage unit. She thought I didn't know about it. That's the thing with cheaters. They underestimate the people they deceive. But I'd seen the autopay withdrawal months ago. At the time, I assumed it was for holiday decorations or maybe her old art supplies. Wrong again. Unit #B14 was packed tighter than her lies. Suitcases, backup phones, a spare credit card, and photos. Real ones printed. A woman cheating with digital and analog backups. Impressive in a pitiful sort of way. In one, they're at a cabin. She's wearing my hoodie. Ryan's holding her waist like he earned it. I took a few of the photos. Just enough. Not everything. I wasn't here to rob the scene, just to borrow it. And leave my own little surprise in return, a simple post-it note on top of the box labeled Memories. It read, "Smile. You're being watched." By Friday, my plan had shape. Not a revenge fantasy, those are easy. This was something cleaner, measured. Something Elaine would never see coming because it would unfold slowly, with etiquette and cutlery. "Let's have dinner tomorrow," I said over breakfast, pouring her coffee just the way she liked it, cream before the pour, one stevia packet, stirred counterclockwise. She smiled, pleased, a queen receiving tribute. "That sounds nice. Just us." "Actually," I said, tapping the side of my mug, "I was thinking we invite Ryan." Her spoon stopped mid-stir. "Ryan?" I nodded, casually. "He's your friend, right? You've mentioned him a lot. Seems like we should get to know each other." Her eyes searched mine. Suspicious, but only vaguely. "That's thoughtful of you. I'm full of surprises." She agreed, reluctantly. I texted Ryan the invite myself, using her phone. Found his number saved under Cynthia Book Club. Classic. I told him she wanted him to come over for dinner, just the two of them, a night alone. Romantic, cozy. He responded within 5 minutes, "Tell her I can't wait. Been missing her." He brought wine. Of course he did. The man showed up at our door in a navy sport coat and brown loafers with no socks. His cologne entered the house 3 seconds before he did. I opened the door, smiled wide. "Ryan, come on in." He looked momentarily confused. Hey, Dan, right? That's me. Dinner's ready." Elaine was already at the table, dressed in something she only wore when we were alone on vacations. Ryan blinked twice. His internal GPS must have been screaming, "Rerouting. Rerouting." "Hope you like lamb," I said, pulling out his chair. Elaine was stiff. She barely touched her wine. Ryan cleared his throat every third bite. I smiled like a man in a toothpaste commercial. "So," I said halfway through the meal, "how long have you two been screwing behind my back?" The words dropped like a brick in a koi pond. No yelling. No fury. Just stated plain, like I was commenting on the weather. Elaine froze. Ryan looked like someone had unplugged his brain. What?" she said. "Come on, don't insult me." I found the pictures. The texts. I've even seen the little storage unit love nest. Very romantic. Nothing says, "We deserve each other," like shag carpet and a broken oscillating fan. Ryan stood up. "Okay, I think I should go." "You sit," I said, calmly. "You stand up again and I start reading your DMs out loud." "Don't test me." I printed them. Elaine recovered just enough to hiss. "What is this? Some kind of setup?" "No, Elaine. This is a conclusion. Yours, specifically." Ryan sank back into his chair, quiet now. Elaine was turning red. Not the bashful kind. More like a kettle just before the whistle. "I can explain," she started. "No," I interrupted. "You really can't. And that's the beauty of this moment. You could try, but we both know your best defense is denial, and frankly, I'm too tired to pretend I don't already know everything." Ryan opened his mouth again. I held up a hand. "Ryan, you had the poor judgment to start sleeping with a married woman. Then you had the audacity to do it with mine. So I'm going to give you one gift. Silence. Take it." He shut his mouth. I stood and took out 2 envelopes from the sideboard drawer. One, I handed to Elaine. The other, to Ryan. Elaine's was thick. Divorce papers, bank statements, a photo album with post-it notes where I'd cut her out of the frame. Ryan's was lighter. Inside, printouts of every text, email, and call log between him and Elaine. Also, a copy of the anonymous tip I just sent to his company's HR department, which, surprise, had a very clear policy about employees sleeping with married clients. Elaine wasn't technically a client, but she had finessed a consulting agreement that made it just murky enough to qualify. "I wanted you both to have something to remember tonight by," I said. "Call it a party favor." Elaine's hands shook. This is insane, Dan." "No. Insane is trusting someone with your whole life and finding out they're taking selfies with someone else in your bed." Ryan looked pale now. He knew this wasn't a fight he could flex out of. He didn't even argue. I walked to the door and opened it. "You can leave now. You'll both want some time to figure out how you're going to spin this." Neither moved. "Go." And they did. No dramatic last words. No tears. Just the clatter of heels and loafers on hardwood, the soft click of a door closing, and then finally, silence. I stood in that silence for a while. Breathed it in. The house felt lighter. Almost like peace. The morning after my little dinner theater, I woke up to an odd quiet. Not the kind that settles after peace, but the sort that waits, crouched behind doors and beneath furniture, like it knows what's coming. Elaine didn't come home. Shocking, I know. Her closet was half full, which meant she either left in a hurry or planned to return, like I was just going to wave her back in with a gentle, "Let's talk." I texted her one thing: the locks are changing at noon. That was it. I owed her nothing more. At 11:47, the locksmith rang the bell. "Bad breakup?" he asked as he drilled out the old deadbolt. "Not bad," I said. "Just overdue." He gave me a knowing nod and got back to work. By 2 p.m., Elaine had called 4 times. No messages, just missed calls, breadcrumbs from someone who still thought I'd chase her down and beg for closure. I didn't pick up. Not because I was angry. I wasn't, surprisingly. I just didn't care to hear her voice anymore. I knew too much about the tongue it came from. Then came the group texts. Apparently, someone had told someone who told someone's cousin, and by evening, I was receiving messages from friends we hadn't spoken to in months. Just heard what happened. "I'm so sorry, bro." "Elaine? Wow. Are you okay?" One guy even wrote, "Man, I always thought she was kinda shady. Remember that time she said your cologne smelled like desperation? Support or revisionist history? Hard to tell. But the best one came from Ryan's girlfriend. Yes, girlfriend. Didn't know he had one, did we? "Hi, Daniel," the message began. "I don't know if you remember me. I'm Claire. Ryan and I have been together for a year. I just found out everything. I saw the documents you left at his place. Turns out, Ryan had been playing a double game. While Elaine thought she was his one and only, Claire had been in the background, planning to move in with the guy. He had a dog bowl at her place, a toothbrush, a drawer. She ended the text with, "If you ever want to talk or laugh about this mess over a drink, let me know. It's rare to meet someone else who walked through the same fire." I didn't respond right away. I stared at her message for a long while. Not because I was flattered or intrigued, though I admit there was something poetic about it, but because I realized I wasn't alone in this. Betrayal has a club. We just don't talk about the membership until someone leaks the guest list. I spent the next few days cleaning out the house. Not the furniture, no, I let the place look lived in. But I vacuumed the marriage out of it. Took down the wedding photos. Packed the little anniversary mementos into a box labeled "Spare Lies." I found her old journals. Didn't read them. Didn't need to. I'd already read the most honest chapters of her life, and they weren't in ink. The lawyers were moving quickly. My divorce attorney, a sharp woman named Yvonne who wore power suits like armor, called me Thursday. "She's panicking," she said, not even bothering with a hello. "Wants to negotiate terms outside of court." "Let her panic," I said. Yvonne chuckled. "That's the spirit. You want me to push for the house?" "No. Let her have it." "Really?" "Yeah. Give her the house. But I want the land it's on." A pause. "You want the land?" "She can take the kitchen cabinets and the Instagram-ready backsplash. I want the dirt it stands on. Legally. She can own the house. I'll own everything beneath it." Another pause. Then laughter. "You are the coldest man I've represented in years." "No," I said. "I'm just done playing the fool." That night, Claire texted again. "I ran into Ryan today. He asked if I could forgive him. I told him forgiveness is earned, and he hasn't earned anything but an Uber ride to nowhere." I responded, "That's a good line. Mind if I steal it?" She sent back a laughing emoji. And just like that, the dark clouds started lifting. Not because of Claire, but because I could finally see the end. Not the explosive end Elaine deserved, but the quiet, measured one that would haunt her longer. She'd spend years waiting for me to lash out, to break, to scream. But I wouldn't. No rage. No tears. Just silence. And doors that never opened again. Elaine finally replied to my text, the one about the locks. "Wow. Classy, Dan. After everything, this is how you handle it." I read it over breakfast. Eggs, toast, black coffee. The classics. Her message didn't raise my heart rate even one beat. She thought she was still in the pilot's seat, that I was still sitting in row 12, economy class, waiting for peanuts and closure. She followed up 5 minutes later. "You really want to throw away everything we built?" I looked around the dining room. The furniture? Mine. The walls? Paid for by my salary. The quiet? New, refreshing, and mine too. Built? She helped me decorate it, sure. But the foundation, both literal and emotional, was me, all the way down. That afternoon, the house officially became hers. On paper, anyway. We split the assets clean down the middle, but as I told Yvonne, I kept the land deed. The lawyer had raised an eyebrow, clearly trying not to ask why. Because sometimes the ground itself deserves better tenants. 2 days after that, Elaine moved back in. I drove by. Not to spy, just to confirm what I already knew. She wouldn't wait a day before making it hers again. And by hers, I mean theirs. Ryan was there. He stood on the porch like he'd always belonged there. Waved at someone across the street. Unbuttoned shirt, fresh haircut, smug like he'd won a raffle. I imagined him walking the halls, touching surfaces he didn't earn, sitting at the table I built from a weekend project Elaine once called charmingly obsessive. It was perfect. I wanted him to be comfortable. I needed him to be. Because the gift I left behind had a timer. See, before handing over the house, I made a few renovations. Nothing illegal. I'm not that guy. Just a few tweaks, some electrical quirks, a Wi-Fi modification here and there. Most notably, the smart home system. It used to be mine, synced to my phone. And yes, I transferred access to her new account, just like a good ex-husband would. But I forgot to mention the backup server. The one I installed during the first quarantine when I had too much time and too little trust. So when they moved back in, I could see everything. Camera feeds, smart speaker locks, voice recognition history. You'd be amazed how much Hey Google can reveal. The first night, they toasted with champagne. Ryan made a joke about claiming the throne. Elaine laughed, leaned over, kissed him like I never existed. And that was fine, because I was already moving on. Or rather, I was already framing the move. Literally. I posted a listing on a local home improvement blog. Just a single sentence with a contact email. Interested in buying one-of-a-kind footage of a cheating couple playing house in someone else's dreams? Serious inquiries only. No names. No pictures. Just bait in the water. I got over 30 responses in 24 hours. One from a documentary producer. Another from a lawyer who said he just likes justice. One guy just sent, I don't even need the footage. I just want to shake your hand. I didn't sell anything, of course. That wasn't the point. The point was knowing I could. That the narrative belonged to me now. Not them. Me. Claire and I met for coffee the next week. Neutral ground. No romantic undertones. Just two people comparing scars. You look different, she said. Freer. Lighter, she replied. Like someone who stopped dragging a corpse. She was blunt. I like that. We talked for 2 hours. She told me Ryan had texted again, begging, spinning his usual brand of narcissistic romance. She said she blocked him after the second message. He said he missed how I laughed at his jokes, she said, rolling her eyes. I nodded. You always know a clown by how much he needs applause. We didn't kiss. We didn't plan a second date. We just laughed, paid the bill, and walked away lighter. That night, I logged into the camera feed one last time. Ryan was pacing the kitchen, shouting. Something about the thermostat. It's haunted, he said. It keeps setting itself to 60 freaking degrees. Elaine was on the couch, scrolling her phone. You probably screwed it up. Just unplug it. He did. It turned itself back on 10 minutes later. I smiled. You can take the house, sweetheart. But you'll never control the climate. There's an art to revenge. It's not the dramatic gesture. Not the public takedown. That's for amateurs, the ones who think slamming a door feels better than watching someone slowly realize it's been locked from the outside. My satisfaction came one flicker at a time. A dim hallway light that wouldn't turn off. A sprinkler system that misted the front lawn every hour on the hour. The refrigerator beeped when unopened. The oven timer went off at midnight sharp, every night. Elaine didn't suspect a thing, she just thought the house was glitchy. Old wiring, she said. Ryan wasn't so sure. He started sleeping on the couch with a bat near his pillow. That was my favorite camera angle, this big, muscle-shirt Romeo, staring into the shadows like the ghosts of better men were going to crawl out of the drywall. They weren't wrong. But ghosts don't knock. They watch. That weekend, I stopped by the old neighborhood. Not the house. Just the corner store where we used to buy that overpriced almond milk she insisted tasted better. The clerk recognized me. Gave me the once-over. Hey, Dan, didn't think we'd see you back around here. Heard about the split. Yeah, I said, grabbing a bottle of water and a stick of gum. Big shocker, right? He hesitated, then dropped his voice. You know they've already started fighting? Cops came out last night. Noise complaint. I almost thanked him, but I played dumb. Well, must be tough adjusting to all that square footage. He laughed, but I was already walking out. Back home, I pulled up the footage. Oh yeah, they were unraveling. Ryan was yelling about the smart system again. Said the camera light in the guest room kept blinking even though he unplugged it. Elaine told him to grow up and stop turning every little thing into a conspiracy. He accused her of spying on him. She accused him of cheating. I sat back and watched the slow death of their honeymoon phase with a bowl of popcorn and the smug silence of a man who no longer needed to say, "I told you so." But the best part? She didn't realize she was unraveling with an audience. I made a private folder on my laptop and titled it The Greatest Hits. Saved clips, bookmarked timestamps. Ryan accusing her of keeping secrets. Elaine yelling that she gave up everything for him. Her voice cracked when she said it. Not a scream, just a shudder, like she suddenly remembered me. That made me pause. Because here's the thing, I didn't hate her. Not really. Disgust? Sure. Disappointment? Absolutely. But hate? That takes too much energy. And she didn't deserve that much real estate in my chest. Still, I wasn't done yet. So I dropped the final piece. A letter. Handwritten. Tucked into a plain envelope. No return address. I mailed it to the house, not the new owners. Just Elaine Mercer. No forwarding. No sender. Just truth, delivered like a bomb in a beige paper shell. The letter read, "You thought the cameras were off. They weren't. You thought the locks were final. They weren't. You thought he was your escape. He wasn't. You traded your future for a thrill. You cheated for the adrenaline. But now, you've got silence. Not peace. Just the kind of quiet that comes after you burn down a bridge and forget the island was still behind you. I won't publish what I know. Not yet. That part's up to you. But understand this. I'm not hiding in the shadows. I'm not licking wounds. I'm watching. And every lie you told left a footprint. Walk carefully. D. I didn't sign my full name. She didn't need it. She'd recognized my handwriting. I made sure the ink smudged in just the right spot, like a fingerprint only she could trace. 2 days later, the cameras showed her holding the envelope in her hand. She stood at the kitchen counter for over 20 minutes, just staring at it. Like it buzzed. Like it whispered. Ryan came in, shirtless as usual, and asked her what it was. She said, "Nothing," and shoved it into the trash. But later that night, I saw her dig it back out. She didn't throw it away again. The next day, Ryan moved out. No shouting. No glass-shattering drama. He just packed a duffel, slammed the front door, and peeled out of the driveway like a man being chased by karma. Elaine sat alone on the couch for a long time. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked around the house like it belonged to a stranger. And finally, I logged out of the cameras. Shut down the backup server. Deleted the folder. Wiped the drives. Not because I was scared. Because I was done. I'd won. And the best part? She'd never see the last laugh coming. Because I wouldn't be laughing. I'd be living. 2 months passed. Spring showed up without asking permission. The trees bloomed. The air warmed. And for the first time in a long while, I exhaled without bitterness riding shotgun. Elaine didn't reach out. Neither did Ryan. The silence between us all stretched long and taut like piano wire, humming just below the surface, but I didn't strum it. I didn't need to. I heard from Claire again. She sent a picture of her dog in a goofy sweater and a caption. Guess who finally got custody in the breakup? I replied, the only one worth fighting for. She suggested lunch. I suggested something better, freedom. Let's not turn shared trauma into a second-hand romance, I told her when we met. She smiled. That's the healthiest thing I've heard since I started therapy. We toasted with sparkling water. 2 grown-ups, seasoned by betrayal, but not broken. That's a rarer bond than love, mutual recovery. Meanwhile, the house Elaine kept had gone quiet. The neighbors said she was barely seen. Curtains always drawn. Lights off before 9 p.m. One afternoon, I passed by. Slowly. Casually. The yard was overgrown. Trash bins overflowing. Mail stacking in the box. The woman who once color-coded throw pillows now couldn't be bothered to pull weeds. The house had become a mausoleum, clean on the deed, rotten in the walls. My friend Kyle texted me a week later. Yo, your ex is selling the place. Saw a sign go up this morning. Of course she was. Too many memories. Too many whispers in the hallway. I called the realtor, anonymous inquiry, naturally. Asked if the property had any notable history. The agent paused. Well, the seller says it's just time for a change. That's one way to put it. I didn't buy the house back. That would have been too easy. Too poetic. Instead, I bought the lot behind it. Vacant land, overgrown and forgotten, but with a view straight into her backyard. I put up a fence. Then a shed. Then a tiny home, just 1 bedroom, solar-powered, all clean lines and quiet intention. The realtor handling Elaine's sale never connected the dots. But Elaine did. She spotted me one morning, sipping coffee on my new porch. Our eyes met across the fence. No rage. No smugness. Just recognition. She stood in the window for a long time, holding the curtain like it might bite her if she let go. Then she turned away. The house sold a week later. Below asking price. The buyers were a young couple. Nice people. New baby. Big dreams. I left them a gift basket on moving day. Just snacks and a card. Welcome home. The view's even better when the past isn't in it. They never questioned it. Why would they? To them, it was just a neighbor being kind. But for Elaine, the message was clear. The land remembers. Even if the locks have changed, time has a funny way of healing. It doesn't patch you up. It just teaches you to stop picking at the wound. I don't watch her anymore. Don't Google her name. Don't check if Ryan's still in the picture. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Maybe she's finally alone, trying to rearrange a version of herself that isn't stitched together by lies and approval. I wish her well, not because I'm noble, but because indifference is louder than hate. Me? I've built something better than revenge. I've built peace. The tiny home turned into a haven. I work less now. Hike more. Write letters I never send. Talk to strangers who don't know my story. And I sleep like someone who isn't waiting for the next betrayal to shake the bed. I even smile more. Not the forced smile, the real kind. The one that sneaks up on you in the middle of a quiet Tuesday when the coffee's just right and the breeze slips through the trees like a whisper. You made it. Because I did. They say the best revenge is living well. I disagree. The best revenge is not needing any. That's the last laugh. And I didn't just get it. I earned it.